Hey y'all, Will here, otherwise Zelray, and it's been about 3 weeks since I posted any content on Once Human, yet I'm back on and I'll explain that lapture at the end of the video. Right now, while I enjoy a ton of stuff about Way of Winter, the first thing I want to mention beyond everything else is how to deal with temperature and controlling it as best as you can so that you don't perish due to the cold or due to the heat. And let me tell you, I've been seeing death flowers everywhere. I know people are dying to this. I absolutely know it. And I feel that it's almost frustrating enough if you don't understand it that you may not even want to play this scenario at all. So let's get into it. First, we're going to go to our inventory and we're going to take a look on the bottom right down here, above your character weight, there's a temperature gauge. Now, let's go back to character weight just for a second. If you're fat, all that extra blubber gives you extra cold resist. And if you're underweight, you don't overheat as quickly and you get extra heat resistance. It says +5, I believe it's +10, at least on the overweight, because I have 5 cold resistance from absolutely nothing, and I assume it has to be this. Going back to the temperature, you want to stay in the cozy range. And my cozy range is extended right now because I have a few buffs on. You can see on my food, I have a roasted spike tomato that I ate. It gave me 10 additional cold resist, which forces my gauge further towards the cold side so I can stay cozy in colder temperature. That's what cold resist and heat resist does. It gives you a wider range of being cozy so that you're going to be able to be in your optimal range as much as possible. Unfortunately, if you do hit chilly or heat, you will start increasing or decreasing your body temperature to the point where you're going to lose health every second. And that's going to be your hypo or hyperthermia. And, well, you're going to die if you don't heal. Secondly, you have frost and blaze on the extremes. And if you hit those in 12 seconds, you will die. You can't do anything about that. You don't want to be in that range. And if you aren't dead yet, you lose 5% of your health per second. On the cold side, you're slowed. And on the hot side, your gear durability is reduced by 1% per second. That's a lot of repair bills. You do not want to be on fire. You just don't want to be there, okay? That's how temperature works in the game. We use heat and cold resist to increase our range of extremes and how much my cozy meter or your cozy meter is in total, Celsius degrees wise, your range. And there's a lot of ways to change this. First and foremost, you're going to see on your gear, which I don't have, mind you, let's go to my backpack real quick. -25 Celsius is my cozy range, just to keep that in place. My gear has on it, come on, equip. It has sealskin, which increases by 10, and when dampened, an additional 5. And the dampened state is giving you extra heat resistance, yet reducing your cold resistance. On my legs as well, same thing. I have an extra sealskin. On the ground below me, I have a bag. In this bag, I have a helium stone and a snowmobile, which increases cold resistance. So if I look at my temperature again, now I can be down to -45 degrees Celsius before I get chilly. You see that big change there? And to get to frost, I need to be at -70 Celsius, which honestly may not even exist. And this is before you get into things like the Chaosium Lantern, which increases or decreases the temperature for your character. You also get a increase to temperature with your torch. If your torch is out, you can increase your heat by 5 degrees. So you can see this, it's 10 degrees Celsius right now. I can increase it to 15 degrees at any time, a +5 degree change, just by having my torch out. The Chaosium Lantern works slightly differently. If the temperature is below 10, it increases it by 15 degrees. And if it's above 30, it reduces it by 15 degrees. The snowmobile here is a mimetic specialization where it increases your cold resistance by 10, which is more range. On top of that, there's another mimetic that I haven't picked up yet, but I do have I have 3 not selected. I actually don't select anything until I hit level 35. And I can explain mimetic specializations if you don't know why I'm doing that. I go nothing picked up from 5, 10, or 15, then I choose those. Then I go from 20 to 35, then I choose those. And it's to weed out bad specializations I don't want to see. But on my level 30 specializations, I have this thing called portable thermostat, which unlocks a new formula, can be crafted at the supplies workbench, and when activated, which costs 1 storage battery, it lasts for 30 minutes. It reduces or increases the environmental temperature around you within 3 meters by 20 degrees Celsius. So this is crazy. First off, I'm assuming it's going to be around you. You might just put a portable thermostat down on the ground, but then it wouldn't be that portable. I think it's around your character, and I'm going to pick it up once I get a little bit higher in my levels. But that's 20 degrees, then your Chaosium Lantern, another 15. You can drop your temperature by 35 degrees or increase it by 35 degrees with those 2 options, which is crazy. Like, that's insane. There's also currently a bug. There's an exploit you can take advantage of, my friends, with the Chaosium Lantern. This lasts for 5 seconds, then it checks your Chaosium, and if you have enough Chaosium as fuel, it's 10 per 5 seconds. That's 120 per minute. It's kind of crazy. You can essentially keep yourself at this temperature range. You can increase or decrease the temperature, yet the first 5 seconds of your Chaosium Lantern are free. And you might be like, well, why does that matter? Well, if you're too cold, you can click your Chaosium Lantern. I just clicked it. It's on my hotbar number 5, and we wait. 3, 2, 1. Boom. The Chaosium Lantern has been extinguished, which means it was lit for 5 seconds. I don't have a single Chaosium on me. If you click your Chaosium Lantern, it goes on, you start running around, and as soon as it says, hey, it's going to extinguish, you click it again. You have a consistent buff of 15 degrees up or down as long as you press the hotkey every roughly 5 seconds. Why you would want to do this is because you ended up in too cold of an area, and you will die 100% of the time if you don't. The other thing I would like to mention is that if you have a camp and you should be using your camp a lot, you can increase your temperature by 10 degrees. You see that? My temperature just went up 10 degrees because I went to my camp. 10 Celsius, 20 Celsius because of this little, barrel fire. So if you're out and about and you start getting cold, you can go to your campfire and say, okay, I'm safe now. Let's see what I can do to fix the problem that I currently have. You then fix it, and then you can continue exploring. Not only that, you can get into a lot of bad areas, and if you want to try to get out of them, and usually I find it before I understood temperature, and there was a time when I didn't. Don't worry, we've all been there. That's probably why you're clicking on this video, because you don't want to be there. I went to Bear's Den, which is a town, and I died in town due to temperature exposure. I was dead in town. And when I go and explore in these areas to do like the danger zone that I haven't even touched yet, but like I went over here to the Hive Rail restricted area, and I was dying when I was trying to fight enemies because I had my gun out instead of my torch. You want to put your camp out in front of anything you explore because you don't know what you're going to find in it right away. And instead of taking a loss and having to teleport back to your camp or a town and then teleport as close as you can to get back, it takes a lot of time. You can just have a camp down and just boom, you're back in it. I'm saying that even though we all know what camps are good for, because it's extremely helpful because of this temperature mechanic as you're learning it. If you don't know what's around you and you take a misstep, well, this allows you to save some time. And with all that, that's mostly everything that is to be known about temperature. That's like the full guide right there. That's a rundown. That covers everything. There's some things that I don't know exist yet, and you might. And finally, to make Chaosium in this area, you need cold crystals. There's cold crystals around in the iceberg areas that you see around. And you also have some over here. There's sometimes caves. There's a cave over here. where is it? Right here. With ice crystals in it, you can get ice crystals there. You can get them in a lot of different locations, and you need ice crystals or cold crystals to make chaosium, or hot rock, which is the same thing but on the hot side. And if you're wondering where seals are, just go to the icebergs. Or if you want to go near another area that has them, you can teleport to here, which is pretty close to icebergs, and you can go to these and get seals in mass quantities to get your seal skin to get you started. The only thing I haven't mentioned is in your base, you can have stoves, which also increase or decrease your temperature so that you can live in a nicer area up in the mountains like fiery hell Mordor, or just up in the snow, and still be able to be cozy in your house without much worry. Or when your friends come and visit and they don't have as good as gear, they don't freeze to death exploring your house. And there you have it. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you got something out of this, and you will see many more videos on Once Human from me on my channel. As I said, I was going to talk about why I couldn't play the past few weeks, and I could say Prismverse was just terrible. I didn't like the rule set of the PvP. It was laggy. I mean, people can go on and on. I think we all realize if we played through Prismverse or tried to, I think they could have done a much better job, and I don't think that it was a scenario that was up to par. And they really need to rethink how they want to do PvP in the future if they want to keep releasing these PvP scenarios. Yet what actually happened to me is Steam was downloading a corrupted file, or Steam corrupted a file to download onto my PC in my Once Human directory somewhere in there. And I thought it could have been in my documents folder. I deleted that. It would just come back and come back. I couldn't do anything to get rid of it. So every 5, 10, 15 minutes, my game would crash. And let me tell you, as a content creator, I want to be able to get into something deep dive, get immersed, learn it without distraction, and be able to play the game, learn something, and then I want to bring it to you so that you know what happened or know how to deal with something. Because I couldn't, I didn't want to make a video. I really didn't want to talk about it because I was moody and annoyed. I was going to make a big deal out of it if it stayed during Way of Winter, but they fixed it. And that's why I really wasn't making any content, is I couldn't play the game that I wanted to play. Even if Prismverse was bad, and it was, I would have still had fun learning things and doing things in the map that are Prismverse specific. Fortunately, I was able to grit my teeth and get the 3rd level of the butterfly, which I'm glad I did, even though it was annoying with the Mitsuka marks. And with Mitsuka marks, I'm going to even buy the Berserkosaurus Rex and Radiant one, however abysmal their drop rates were in Prismverse. So overall, that's why I couldn't play, and that's why I couldn't make videos for you. But we're back on the grind, and you'll be seeing more from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for waiting through the video this long, and I'll be catching you with another one here soon. We got every single deviant for Prismverse already. I have the Silent Anabasis on my back, and I really like the gun, so I'm going to be talking about that. There's quite a few things to go around, and see you soon. Later.